This event is a non-commercial, purely academic event and the content, recording or any part of this event cannot be used for any commercial purposes.
So before we move ahead, let us see one of the key opinion leaders who has shared his thoughts about Essilor.
I welcome Dr. Raju Budas to this particular talk on how a few brands become the become the favorites of the doctors. So, Dr. Raju, the first question from my side to you would be: what is your immediate feeling when you hear about the brand Essilor?
It would probably even remain in future a very leading brand as far as H2 blockers are concerned, because after the introduction of PPIs, that is proton pump inhibitors, the use of H2 blockers have definitely gone down. But in fact, I myself spoke on giving my presidential oration in a Gastrointestinal Foundation conference, GIFTCon in Goa, where Dr. Vivek Khattangadi also gave a talk. In fact, I invited him to a doctors forum to speak on behalf of a pharma industry. That was something different and unique experience for the doctors also to listen to the pharma side. And I spoke, in fact, in the same conference about the abuse of PPIs and its side effects. And I spoke about getting awakened. It's a awakening for the gastroenterologist as to how we are actually abusing the PPIs, and that is where the subject of H2 receptor antagonist really surfaced. It is very surprising to know, even in modern or in advanced countries, or say countries like US and Europe, the abuse of PPIs is still happening, and happening at a very massive scale. It is about 40 to 50% of the prescriptions of PPI are probably not justified. And this is a finding from US. So you can imagine how bad would be the situation in a country like us, where really prescriptions are, they flow, and they flow like water. So the brand Essilor, as of now, today, if we speak in 2021, not a very regular or not a very brand on the forefront, I would say, but it is definitely a brand which we still remember and which we still use and will probably continue to use even in future. Why a particular brand strikes to a doctor is, there are, I think, multiple dimensions to it. It's about, first and most important is how the name is of the brand. How catchy is the name, and relevant, appropriate, and effective use of the name. Now, once you say Essilor, the something which locks the acid is Essilor. That is how I interpret it. I don't know what the company had in mind while throwing the name Essilor, but I have interpreted this as locking the acidity. So the name is important. Number two, how effectively it is communicated to a doctor by the face of the company. Now, who is the face of the company? Face of the company is a representative of the company who carries a bag in his hand, carries a visual aid in his bag, and presents the brand to a doctor. Now, how much really knowledgeable, how much really he's effective in his communication skills, I think that is extremely important. My current impression about these particular things is not a very good one. The medical representatives are not really taught well, trained well, and they are just there to see that the brand is sold. But a brand is never sold just as easy as that, because there are certain expectations of a doctor also from the company. Now, what do we expect is, we are basically expecting knowledge. We are expecting updates. We are expecting how does the molecule is being prescribed by my colleagues as well. Are they using it? Are they using it? Am I then even I try to compare myself with my colleagues. Oh, okay, my other two colleagues have also started writing this, so it should be good. You know, inadvertently, knowingly or unknowingly, we tend to follow each other. That's for sure. And let's accept it if it is, has to be said very clearly and honestly. So we do also try and compare. So we need knowledge, we need update from the pharma industry on that particular brand. And I think even a pharma industry should try and do this, that they have to give something new, something new information on every visit that they pay. They may not repeat the same thing, like, sir, Asiloc, it is prescribed in this dose, this is indicated for this particular disease, XYZ. Now that we know. Now we need to know from the company, now have they really made even this analysis? Is, sir, why I should go back to H2RS? So are they aware what I am aware of, that there is abuse of PPIs? So they are supposed to talk about this, so that they indirectly or whatever in a scientific way, they will promote their brand, right? I mean, many of my GI colleagues even may not be aware of it, that they are actually abusing PPI. So there is no second opinion that H2RAs, as far as the safety profile is concerned, is much ahead and better than the PPIs. PPIs are effective. No two opinions in that again. But if they tell me, sir, please prescribe Asiloc because such and such thing is happening, and I'm sure you would be, you are a leading doctor, you are a wise doctor, you will start prescribing Asiloc. So I need that information. So that is my expectation from the pharma side. So, brand building doesn't happen obviously in a day or in a month or a year. It happens over the years. And most important, I think what matters the most is the communication skill. How effectively they are able to transmit the correct scientific information to the doctor and impress the doctor effectively that, okay, sir, this is the right information. So I believe these are various dimensions why a particular brand would become successful.
Right, Dr. Raju, this was a wonderful take on the question. And another question comes to my mind is like, would you prefer a brand or a generic of a particular molecule?
I personally would prefer a brand. I would prefer a brand for sure. Now, in fact, I'm the one who actually was instrumental a few years back in starting the generic chain, of the chemist in Thana. That is where I practice. I was responsible to begin that momentum for the promotion of generic, because I believe that they are as good. They're as good as the brand. But if you ask me personally, would I take a branded medicine, or would I take myself a generic medicine? I generally ask this question to myself. Would I do it? Even if I'm advising something to the patient, I ask that question to myself, is it possible for me to do it? Then yes, I would definitely recommend that my patient should do it. So like if you ask the same question to me, if I ask myself, will I prefer a brand or a generic? I personally would prefer a brand. So probably the same thing applies to my patient as well. So I would prefer a brand over a generic. I understand that generic is as good, but that's my opinion.
Okay, Dr. Raju. There may be many brand and the sales team of those particular brands would be visiting you related to a single chemical entity, single molecule. So, can you sum up that why a particular brand becomes the favorite of doctors? It becomes favorite because you will be having that particular brand name on the top of your mind, even if a lot of a different companies representative may be visiting you, but still you have that brand in top of your mind. So can we have 3 points from you which makes a brand mega brand?
I think answer is very simple, but difficult to implement. I will quote an example. When a molecule like tegaserod, which is a molecule which came first, and then it became a sort of a available treatment for the constipation and so on. Then came the brand of rifaximin. Okay. Now, when the rifaximin came into the market, we as GI and being update as far as the knowledge is concerned, we were waiting for rifaximin to come to India, right? And when it came, it is not the company which came in first, which is at the highest sales point as of now. There is some other company who has taken that lead. Now, why this should happen? If I am the one who is bringing that molecule for the first time in the market, naturally I should be the brand leader. I should be the leading the sales, but that doesn't happen. Now the analysis for that is, my analysis is communication. Doctors also need to be taught. Doctors also need to be informed. Every doctor you can't expect every doctor to be update as far as the academics is concerned. They are quite busy. Now, I passed my MBBS in 1984. I did my MS in 1987. That's the time I learned pharmacology, right? And after that, who has been teaching me pharmacology? It is only the pharmaceutical companies, right? And then over and above that, what I read myself, or what I keep myself scientifically updated. But I don't think that every doctor would be as informed as they should be. So it is your communication that has to go to the doctor. Now, if you conduct enough CMEs, if you conduct enough talks, if you conduct the talks from the expert, all right, and then you scientifically promote the brand, I think that is where you will become number one. And that is exactly what happened with, that did not happen with rifaximin. Okay, the company, I was saying that please give as many talks as you can. Educate the doctors. Why should they write rifaximin? What are the advantages of rifaximin? It is such a wonderful molecule. That did not happen. Then some other company came, it promoted ethically, it promoted scientifically, conducted talks all over the country, and they are brand leaders. And now the company which came first is struggling and trying to analyze why did they fail, or why they are not brand leaders. But they have वो उनको ये ध्यान में आया कुछ सालों के बाद, जब भी बहुत सारा पानी बह गया ब्रिज के नीचे से. So they are still wondering why it is not happening. But that is what I personally feel. When a particular concept, I'm not talking about a brand, if a particular concept comes in, teach the concept to the doctor. Now, when the probiotics came in, for example, in our practice in gastroenterology, initially it was thought, oh, probiotics is nothing. Probiotics is, it's just a pharma gimmick and they are trying to sell something and it is not going to work. But now, if you ask me today in 2021, probiotics is on the top list of our prescription. Now they are trying to, relate probiotics to virtually everything, and that is where Ilya Mashnikov mentioned way back in 1910, more than 110 years back, that death begins in colon. Now he won a Nobel Prize then, 110 years ago, and now we are realizing that probiotics are very important. So it is about teaching the doctors that, look, I mean, colon flora, colon, microorganisms are very important. Now, if I get scientifically aware and educated and knowledgeable, then I'm obviously likely to prescribe probiotic, and I would definitely write a company's probiotic who has taught me this, who gave me the information, who made me wise. And I think that's how they will score definitely over others in the queue for my prescription. I would definitely prefer that particular brand, and that is how that brand is likely to become the brand leader. Okay, so I think that is what I feel. I feel education or concept selling is more important than the molecule selling.
Wonderful, Dr. Raju. You have given very appropriate to the point answers, and I myself would love to listen more to you related to this
Yeah, sure.
particular thing. It's really helping, sir. And I think we have all the answers that we wanted to ask and
Sure.
get from you, Doctor. I believe pharma professionals would listen to this and would work upon this particular input that you have provided. And it is really a master stroke when you said it is all about concept selling. It's not about the
Yes.
molecule selling. Right,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Raju? Yes, sir.
So that was one of the key opinion leaders, Dr. Shripad Budas, speaking on Essilor.